What is up, my friends? Welcome back into Flippin' Bats. What a week. It is the final week plus. There's like 6, 7 games left in the regular season. I can't believe it's coming to an end. We got a lot to talk about today. The playoff matchups are coming together, but the playoff race is wild right now. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the AL wild card and the Detroit Tigers, baby. I'm rocking the D on my shirt. This race is intense. We'll talk about the AL wild card. We'll talk about the Houston Astros in the AL West. We'll talk about Shohei and the Dodgers and the push for what, yeah, I don't know, call me crazy. Is 60-60 out of the realm of possibility? We'll talk about that as well. But before we get started, first off, congrats to you, Darvish, by the way. First Japanese-born pitcher to 2,000 strikeouts, which is awesome for him. Uh, Obviously, today, if you've been living under a rock, Mets and Braves start a huge 3-game series in Atlanta today. Mets have a 2-game lead. Let's set the scene. Mets have a 2-game lead. Tiebreaker's big these days because there's no game 163. It's going to come down to a tiebreaker. I miss game 163. Regardless, season series is currently 5-5. So whoever wins the series will win the season series and the tiebreaker. So if the Mets can win 2 of 3, it's over. Braves cannot catch them. They would have a 3-game lead and the tiebreaker with 3 to go after the series. But obviously a huge series. Mets are currently holding that final wild card spot. Braves are 2 games behind them. And now if you're the Braves, saving graces, you get 3 games at home against the team you need to catch. Couldn't get any bigger than this. All comes down to this. 3 games, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So obviously we'll be tuned into those. All right, let's talk Houston Astros. Today's Tuesday. They lost the beginning of the series against the Mariners on Monday, but the Houston Astros just got to win 1 game against the Mariners, and they will win the AL West once again. A couple games left. You got Tuesday, you got Wednesday. Just win 1, and you win the division. And I hate to say it this early. It hadn't happened yet, but it's going to happen. The Astros are inevitable. They were 12-24 at a certain point. And I was ridiculed left and right. You're an idiot. They're not getting to the playoffs. It's not going to happen. This is the year. This is the downfall. Blah, 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 blah. From Astros fans, from non-Astros fans, from anybody and everybody. But there is not a single argument to be made from anybody out there that at any point I veered from saying the Astros are inevitable. We created the worry meter, and it never got over a 5. And in fact, it was only at a 5, I think, one time, maybe not even to a 5. It was anywhere from a 1 to a 4 all year long because I never doubted their ability. Now, they still have to take care of business. You got to win 1 against the Mariners. I believe that will happen. I'm worried about Jordan as we're recording on Monday. Obviously on Sunday, not obvious. On Sunday, Jordan did have an injury. Slid into second base, got up holding his knee. Couldn't put much weight on it. He was in a lot of pain. After the game, you hear, yeah, not good. It's not good. We'll know more Monday. As we're recording, do not know all the details. Don't necessarily trust the Astros to give us all the details either, because we've seen over the years, even this year with Kyle Tucker and Justin, fans are kind of just left in the dark with the Astros and injuries. But the Houston Astros need Yordan Alvarez in the playoffs if they want to get where they need to go, which is winning the World Series. That's the one. Look, it hasn't been record related all year long. If Yordan Alvarez is hurt and is going to miss the playoffs, that's when I will say worry meter at an 8. At no point this year has been above a 5 because I believed in this team every single step of the way, because I believed in Yordan, because of Altuve, Bregman, Kyle Tucker, Framber, Justin, who ended up hurt for a while and then been back and not pitching great. I understand, but Hunter Brown, and then you had Ronel Blanco show up this year and really come onto the scene. So rotation, bullpen, phenomenal. Offense, great. I knew it was just a matter of time. So I've said it all year long. But if Jordan's going to miss a lot of time, that does change things. Really, look at it. Look at this team now. Look at the Houston Astros now. A big reason why I was told at the beginning of the year, Ben, how can you believe this? At what point do you worry? And I said, it's sure as hell not when they're 7 games out in April. I don't care. Why would I be worried? I will worry if they're 10 games out at the end of July. If they're 10 games out at the All-Star break, I'll worry. Never happened. Never got close. A few months ago, they were like 10 games out of the division, blew past that. And a big reason was their rotation that everybody was so worried about. Now it's a strong suit. Now it's one of the best parts of this team. You have Framber, you have Hunter Brown, you have Yusei Kikuchi, Ronel Blanco, Spencer Arrighetti. And now, look at this question now. On the other side, it's this rotation is so good. What do you do with a struggling Justin Verlander come playoff time? Obviously missed a ton of time and has not been right since he came back. The question is, this rotation's been so good. Is there even room for Justin? Again, a big part of that's going to come down to his last start. Not a great start against the Angels over the weekend. We'll see. We'll get one more start against the Guardians to prove it, and then we'll see what happens come playoff time. But the Houston Astros are inevitable. This will be, in my opinion, maybe count my chickens a little early here, but this will be the 7th consecutive full season division title. 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, and now 24. And I'll even go further. Who beats them in October? Who is better in the American League? I want every single person watching to really think about it. If you are not a New York Yankees fan, you deep down know that the Astros are the best team coming into the American League playoffs. And if you're a Yankees fan saying the Yankees are better, I think you're wrong. And every single person that hears me say you're wrong is going to say, well, your brother's on the team. Of course, that's the only reason you're saying that. It's not. And I've been saying this same thing for 3 years, and I've been right at every turn. I'm looking at it objectively as a baseball fan and someone that does not have this inner hatred towards the Houston Astros. The Astros are the best team coming into the American League playoffs. Outside of Soto and Judge with the Yankees, it's the playoffs. It's October baseball. You can play things differently. Don't let you can get Soto out and then pitch around Judge. Outside of that, this offense isn't that deep. Outside of Garrett Cole, the rotation has issues. The bullpen has issues. I'll take the Astros over the Yankees. I'll take the Astros over the Royals, over the Tigers, over the Twins, over the Guardians, over the Orioles. So I'm not saying right now, yep, Astros in the World Series. I'm going to do my playoff bracket in about a week, though, and I'll tell you then how I feel when I can really dive in on it. But right now, I'm looking at it saying, I don't see a team in the American League that is going to be better than the Astros in October. Can they lose in a 3-game series? Absolutely. Anybody can lose in a 3-game series. And we saw them lose in a 7-game series last year to the Rangers because they couldn't figure out a way to win at home. It can happen, but heading into it, I do not see a team that right now I would pick over the Houston Astros. The Astros are inevitable. I was saying it when they were 12-24. I was saying it at the All-Star break. I was saying it when they had a minuscule chance to make the playoffs. I was saying it when they, in 2021 and 2022, and now we've seen the longest consecutive ALCS appearances in the history of baseball, and I expect that, I think, to continue this year. The Houston Astros are inevitable. I expect them to win the AL West in the coming days, if not today. And I hate to say it. No, I don't. I told you so. All right, let's talk AL wild card. How about the Detroit Tigers, baby? I'm rocking the D on my chest. They have 6 games to go. They're all at home. You have the Rays and you have the White Sox all at home. Go take it. This playoff spot is yours for the taking. At this point, if the Detroit Tigers don't get in, now I will be disappointed. I tried to not let myself get some hope, but boy, do I have hope. Why? Because the Detroit Tigers now have a 71.1% chance of making the playoffs. They have passed the Minnesota Twins and are tied with the Kansas City Royals for the second wild card spot. August 11th, a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs. September 14th, an 8.7% chance of making the playoffs. September 17th, a 21.5% chance of making the playoffs. September 22nd, 61.9. And just a day later, that was heading into Sunday. Just a day later, they have a 71.1% chance of making the playoffs. Javi Baez last played for the Tigers on August 22nd. They lost 10-2 that day against the Cubs. Since then, the Tigers are 20-8. 1 month ago, they were 9.5 games out of a wild card spot. This is one of the best runs that we have seen, one of the most unprecedented runs that we have seen in baseball in years. This is a team that wasn't expected to be good. This was a team that not expected to be here. At the beginning of the year, I would say there was hope, but I had my doubts still. And then come the trade deadline, they were essentially sellers. Since that day, since August 22nd, they're 20-8, made up 10 games in a month. They have a 2.69 ERA over the last month. That's the best in all of baseball. And in that stretch, they have a top 10 offense. Riley Green has been incredible. Kerry Carpenter this year. In terms of OPS, it's Aaron Judge, it's Shohei Ohtani, and it's Kerry Carpenter after that. I know he missed a lot of time. You have Torkelson, who has been better since he's come up. You have the top of the lineup with Parker Meadows. This team is a bunch of unsung heroes. I love it. I love this team. They're scrappy. They're playing great baseball. And then on the other side of things, you have the Twins just absolutely falling apart. So here we are with the Royals. This is a 3-team race. Royals, Tigers, Twins. Maybe 4-team if you want to consider Tigers beating the Orioles in that series and the Orioles playing awfully as well. But Royals have a 68.4% chance of making it. Tigers with 71.1%, and the Twins with a 41.9% chance of making the playoffs. They've lost 22 of their last 33 games. At the beginning of the month, they had a 91.7% chance of making the playoffs, and they've lost 22 of 33. It has been brutal, and the Tigers have been in the rearview mirror for a couple of weeks at this point, and now, well, the Twins are the ones in the rearview mirror. The Tigers have officially passed them and tied with the Minnesota Twins. Absolutely love it. The AL wild card is chaos, and the Detroit Tigers have the best odds of them all to make the playoffs right now. Love it. I hope they get in. If all things hold true and current, of course, the first round matchup for the Detroit Tigers would be against the Houston Astros. What are the odds of that? Are you kidding me? I've been a Tigers fan since 2004. I played for the Tigers organization for 5 years. Ever since I left, and I promise you there's no correlation here, but since I left the organization in 2017, it's been brutal. It's been almost a decade of just mediocrity or worse for the Detroit Tigers. And now here they are. I will forever root for them. We're finally on the cusp of a playoff spot, and you look up, and who might they possibly play? Well, my brother's team. Another team that I do root for and hope does well, obviously. Of course, that might be the first round matchup, but you got to get there first. And they could end up with anywhere from the 1 seed to out of the playoffs at this point. The Orioles holding down the 1 seed is by no means a certainty. They have been playing so poorly. Tigers just beat them in a series. If the Tigers, long shot, if the Tigers go 6-0, and the Orioles go 2-4 over their last 6, Tigers could win that number 1 spot and host in the wild card round. But we'll see about that. Let's just get in. AL wild card is absolutely chaos, and currently the Tigers are the favorite of the main 3 to get in a playoff spot. All right, another team locked up in a race right now. The NL West race is not over, but the Dodgers have a strong hold on it. The Dodgers should go on to win the NL West, but those three teams, Dodgers, Padres, and D-backs, all playing lights out. Shohei Ohtani has been on another planet. In his last 8 games, he's 18 for 36. That's 500. 18 for 36 with 6 home runs and 19 RBIs, 7 stolen bases in his last 8. Still 6 home runs in his last 7. So, what I want to talk about, Shohei just created the 50-50 club. 50 homers, 50 stolen bases, created it. Never existed. He came up with that. A couple of days later, and he has already created the 53-53 club. He's at 53 homers, 55 stolen bases right now. Created the 53-53 club. But you know what? Round numbers sound cooler. And I was one of, if not the only people saying, you know what? I think Shohei's going to get to 40-40 this year. But once we got to a certain point, I said, call me crazy. Let's just have a 50-50 discussion and how it could be possible. So you know what? This is the consensus reaction. You know what? I could see 40-40. I could see him becoming the sixth player ever to go 40-40. But 50-50, come on now. Let's be realistic. Well, he's done 50-50, and I'm going to raise you one more. And you might call me crazy once again, but we got 6 games left for the Los Angeles Dodgers. The last 3 of those are coming in Colorado, where the ball absolutely flies. Let's talk 60-60, because why the hell not? 6 home runs in his last 7 games. I could absolutely see a game in Colorado where the ball flies, the ball launches. I could see a 3-homer game happening there. If he can go into Colorado, if he can hit 2 homers in this next series against the Padres, huge series. If he can hit a couple homers there and go in to Colorado needing 5 or less, it is not out of the realm of possibility. And if you're listening or watching right now saying, Ben, this has gone out of control, I would say I have been told this since the day he came into the league, since the day that I said, you know what, he can succeed as a two-way player in the league. Since I said, you know what, he could make it the All-Star game as a pitcher and as a hitter. Since I said, you know what, he could win multiple MVPs in this league. Since I said he could go 40-40, he could go 50-50. I have been called crazy. And I get this. I get this one. There's only a couple games left. But in his last 7 games, he's got 6 homers. Let's get 6 more in his last 6. Let's get to 50. Let's get to 60-60. It is not out of the realm of possibility. The Dodgers need it, by the way. Dodgers are going to need him in the postseason. They have officially clinched a postseason spot. It'll be the first time we get to see Shohei on that big playoff stage. I have no doubts. And here's why I said this is how I know he's going to be successful. Has he ever not risen to a massive occasion? And you might say, well, there hasn't been a ton. Well, let's talk World Baseball Classic. Let's talk when he came out of the bullpen in the World Baseball Classic. Let's talk when he needed 50-50. And every single time people get closer and closer to a milestone, it gets tough. Remember when Judge was on the heels of 60 and then 62 a couple of years ago? That pace slowed big time. He went on a homerless drought, and everybody will talk about it. Well, it gets in my head, and then, you just really start pressing for that. Shohei just blew past 50-50. He's at 53-55, and 50-50 happened just a couple days ago. Just a couple days ago. It was all hands on deck. We got to record an emergency episode. Shohei reached 50-50. He did it all in the same game. He always rises to an occasion. He's going to in the playoffs. I can't watch him. I can't wait to watch the Dodgers in the playoffs because of what Shohei Ohtani is going to bring to that team. It's different than they've had in the playoffs over the last couple of years. I know last year, Mookie and Freddie, I think, combined for 1 knock in the playoffs. I think Shohei's a different player come playoff time. I can't wait to watch him. I can't wait to watch this Dodgers team because there are a lot of question marks. Their pitching is not great. Is Shohei going to pitch? That's been a conversation as well. I don't know. Over his last 99 games, listen, just take this in. Just appreciate everything with this guy. Over his last 99 games, Shohei Ohtani has gone 40-40 in his last 99. That is insane. And it still baffles me to this day. I just feel I feel like every corner somebody's arguing against this guy. Well, Shohei shouldn't win MVP because he's a DH. Francisco Lindor should win it. And then Lindor unfortunately gets hurt and Shohei goes absolutely bonkers. Clearly the MVP. Then he reaches 50-50. And then it's Braves fans coming after him. Well, 40-70 is more impressive. Acuna's season is more impressive. And then he just continues to go off, and the conversation comes in from Yankees fans. Well, Aaron Judge, better hitter. And then that comparison. I get so tired of it. What are we doing? Can we not just appreciate this while it's happening? I will argue I argued at the time. Shohei MVP over Lindor. 50-50 better than the 40-70 season from Acuna. I think Shohei's 50-50 season is better than Aaron Judge's season. But those are all like I just get tired of the like bringing one of them down. Can we just appreciate everything while it's happening? I don't think Judge is going to reach 60 homers this year. I was rooting for 63. Odds are Shohei is not going to get 60-60 this year, but he reached 50-50. Lindor, what an incredible year. What an incredible run for the New York Mets. But I just feel like every step of the way, another comparison comes up to say, well, this was better than Shohei. And I get tired of it. I went on a rant that I wasn't expecting to go on. He created 50-50 a couple days ago. He's going to create 55-55. He needs a couple more homers. And it's a very long shot, but I needed to at least mention 60-60. You're all going to call me crazy, and I get it. I probably am to a degree. But hear me out. He goes into Colorado, has a 3-homer game, has a couple of 2-homer games. Then we're talking about it. That's all I'm saying. The 50-50 ball, by the way, I talked about it a little bit in the emergency episode. What happened to the ball? Well, what we knew at the time is that the fan caught it. There was a dog pile for the ball, by the way, which I get. Guy got the ball, goes down in the tunnel. What we knew was that he ended up leaving with the baseball. Well, we know a little more now. The guy that caught the 50-50 ball goes down to negotiate with the Dodgers, did get the ball authenticated by Major League Baseball, so he got the authentication sticker, and then negotiated with the Dodgers, and they offered him $300,000. $300,000 for that baseball. You know what he said? He said, thanks, but no thanks, and peaced out with the baseball. He still has it. What's he going to do with it? We don't know that yet. Is he going to keep it? Is he going to sell it? Is he going to auction it? We don't exactly know. But the question for me becomes like, what would you do with this baseball? What would I do with it? And I'm putting myself in the shoes of just a casual fan that caught the ball in the outfield. And I would think, what do I do? Do I give it back? And the answer to that, if we're all being completely honest with ourselves, I get give it back. It's a big homer. I get it. But if we're all being completely honest with ourselves, what do we do with that baseball? It's life-changing money, right? Legitimately life-changing. He was offered $300,000 and said no. And some of the bigger home runs, we have, Aaron Judge's went for a few million. You have Pujols' recent 700 homer go for like 760,000. Barry Bonds around the same. You have a couple that have gone for well over $1 million. So we're talking life-changing money. We're talking about money that can change your family and your family's family, the next generation, forever. So what do you do? And I do think it's an interesting conversation that should be had. And honestly, I do not blame the guy for walking away. I know I proposed this question on TikTok, I believe, and somebody said, well, I'd ask for season tickets for life. So it makes you think, like, what do you negotiate for? You go 300,000 plus season tickets for life. That's a fun one to think about. Do you say 300,000 plus a bunch of Shohei signed gear? Do you say 500,000? I don't know. There's definitely some ease to just dealing with it with the Dodgers and not having to take it outside. Or maybe he's keeping it. Do you keep it and hold it forever? Or hold it for 50 years and then in 50 years sell it for a lot more? I don't know. I don't know what I would do. If I'm being honest with myself, if I just caught the ball in the stands, I'd probably keep it and probably try and see what it's worth. I don't know. I don't know if that's the right answer, but that's what's happening with the baseball. It's first episode of the week. Let's talk power rankings. If you didn't see them come out on Monday, every week they come out on Monday on MLB on Fox, and on here on Tuesday we talk about them. So we'll go through the top 10 and then talk about some of the big ones. At number 10, I went Orioles. 9, the Detroit Tigers. 8, Mets. 7, Guardians. 6, Brewers. Astros at 5, down a spot. Padres at 4, up a spot. Yankees at 3. Phillies down a spot to number 2, meaning number 1 now is the Los Angeles Dodgers. Let's start this by talking about number 10, the Baltimore Orioles, down 2 spots. Beginning of the year, and I felt great about it for a lot of the year. Beginning of the year, though, before it started, I said my World Series prediction is the Phillies over the Orioles. I feel great about the Phillies. I no longer feel any good about the Baltimore Orioles and that prediction that they're going to win the American League. At the end of April, the Orioles were on pace for 110 wins. Listen to this stat. At the end of April, the Orioles were on pace for 110 wins. At the end of May, they were on pace for 106. At the end of June, they were on pace for 102. At the end of July, they were on pace for 97. At the end of August, they were on pace for 92. And currently, they're on pace for under 90 wins. They're 3-8 since September 4th. Their AL East odds in that span have gone from 48% down to 5%. They have the 30th ranked offense during that stretch and the worst bullpen ERA in all of baseball. The Orioles have issues. Big issues. Are they going to get in the playoffs? Yes. They are a playoff team. I think if I had to say right now, I think they're going to host a wild card series. I think they're going to be that number 1 wild card spot. But I don't trust in them to go anywhere. It has been brutal for them, so I bumped them almost out of the power rankings. I have the D-backs at 11, just out of these power rankings. I almost put them in over the Orioles, but just not quite this week. At number 9, the Detroit Tigers. First time I have ever had the Detroit Tigers in my power rankings since I've been doing this for how long have I don't even know. 3 years, 3+ years. First time I've ever had the Tigers in my power rankings. 20-8 since August 22nd. Best team in the American League in that span. What an unprecedented story the Detroit Tigers are. I talked about it earlier. I'm wearing the shirt. Just an incredible story. First time in my power rankings at number 9. Mets up 2. Mets are sitting pretty. Just got to win 2 of 3 against the Braves, and then you own the tiebreaker, and you're up 3 with 3 to go, and that means you're going to be good to go. You're going to be in. Huge series. Beat the Phillies in a series. That was huge for them. Won the last 2 against them. Then Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN won that game. Queens is rocking. I gotta get to Queens. If there's a home playoff game for the Mets, I gotta get there. What a fun place that is to watch a baseball game right now. So they are at number 8. Guardians at 7. Brewers at 6. Kept those 2 the exact same. Astros down 1. Just because not a great series with the Angels. To blow that lead on Sunday, just brutal finish to that game. So Astros are fine, obviously, inevitable, but I did bump them down 1 spot. Up to number 4, the Padres. Let's talk about the Padres. They're dangerous. I mean, real dangerous. Since the trade deadline, all those acquisitions they made for the bullpen, best bullpen in baseball. Tatis has been on another planet since he's come back. The NL West is still obtainable, can still win the NL West, but often Manny Machado on another planet as well. This team has been lights out for months at this point, and to watch the run that they have been on, they have continued She go from out of the power rankings to in them to up to up to up to top five, now to number four. The Padres are rolling, so I did bump them ahead of the Astros. At number three, the New York Yankees kept them the same, and I did bump the Phillies down after losing two in a row to the Mets over the weekend in a big series. Maybe not. They should be fine. There's a world in which they don't wrap up the division, but I mean, 99% chance they wrap this up. Phillies, I did bump them down though because of those two losses in a row and a big division rivalry. And then you'd add on top of that what the Dodgers did. The Dodgers, obviously, that if you didn't see it, playing the Rockies over the weekend, entering the ninth down a run, have Shohei homer to tie the game, Mookie Betts homers to go back to back walk off. Great series for them. Obviously, not a great team with the Rockies, but they're rolling. And then just three Hall of Famers just chugging along at the top of that lineup with Shohei, Mookie, and Freddie Freeman. So I bumped up the Dodgers. The best record in all of baseball right now belongs to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I do feel like they are worthy of taking that number one spot. So this week's power rankings, starting at 10 through on. 10 is the Orioles, Tigers, Mets, Guardians, Brewers, Astros, Padres, Yankees, Phillies, and Dodgers. Before we wrap up, some fan questions. Got some really good questions this week. So we have three fan questions coming at you. First one comes from Eric Preston. Hey, Eric. Hey, do you think there's any chance with the run the Mets are on, if they can get in, that they have enough to make a D-backs type of run? So Diamondbacks from last year, obviously getting into the World Series. And also, who is your Mets unsung hero for this turnaround with so many options? First off, do I think they can make a Mets type run? I would take that one step further, or sorry, a D-backs type run. I would take that a step further. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Mets make a run at this. I was surprised about the Diamondbacks last year. I would not be surprised at all with the Mets. And to be honest with you, I still think the Phillies are the best team coming into the playoffs. But are you like last year with that series with Phillies D-backs? There wasn't a world in which I thought the D-backs would win that series. And then it goes back to Philadelphia. The D-backs needed to win 2 games in Philadelphia. It wasn't a world in which I thought they would come out of there with that. With Phillies and Mets, that feels different. I would pick the Phillies to win because I need them to win the World Series for my prediction. But would I be shocked? No. This Mets team has been phenomenal for the entire second half, since Grimace threw out the first pitch, since they got a purple seat at Citi Field. The Mets are one of the better teams in baseball. Absolutely not shocked if they go on a run. Who's been the unsung hero for this turnaround? I mean, turnaround for me, you throw Acuna in that list, but Acuna just came up. That's been huge for them. The turnaround itself happened a while ago. For me, how do I not say like a Lindor putting it into full gear for that MVP push that he went on? That's what I look at. In the short term, Luis Angel Acuna obviously has looked like Ronald Acuna since coming up. The dude, absolutely. He literally looks like Ronald Acuna out there. He's hitting triples, and like the hair looks similar, diving into third base, hitting absolute rockets for homers. He's got a very similar swing. And then on top of that, playing a great shortstop with Lindor out. So in the short term, I'll say that the unsung hero has been Luis Angel Acuna. But in the longer term, Lindor, Jose Iglesias is hitting over 300. It's a good question, though, but not surprised at all if the Mets go on a run. Next up, what do you think the reason no team reaching 100 wins this season is? Is it dominant pitching, injuries, inconsistency in batters, or some other reason entirely? Love the show. That comes from Tyler Blackwell. Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate that question. And this is a good question. And if you're a fairly new listener, I discussed this last year, before the year started last year. It was the first year that the schedule changed. And I said at the time, and this has ended up being very right, I don't know how many 100-win teams we'll see. And I believe we were talking like betting odds and team win totals, over unders. And I think what I said was I would take a lot more teams under than you think. And the reasoning that I will give you, sure, pitching is far more dominant right now than it ever has been in the game of baseball, just with 104-mile-an-hour heaters and nasty off-speed stuff. Pitchers are doing incredible. But the main reason I'll give you is because of the schedule change and the travel that has come about from that. Gone are the days of, look, if the schedule hadn't changed, the Los Angeles Dodgers are winning 100 games, right? Why do I say that? Well, because you have 6 more opportunities, 7 more. I believe it's gone from 19 to 12 against interdivision teams. Those numbers could be off a little bit, but it was 19, might be 12 or 13. But 6 or 7 additional games against the Colorado Rockies, or, for example, the Philadelphia Phillies. 6 or 7 games less against the Miami Marlins. Or like the Astros. I know they didn't have a great year, but less against the Orioles and the A's. So just think about those dominant teams and then their worst division matchup, and you're getting 6 or 7 less games against those teams per year on top of the travel that you have to do, which is far more. So the schedule change that I'm talking about, if you weren't aware, is last year was the first year that every team in baseball plays each other every year, as opposed to just one interleague matchup, or you play that one division a year. That's gone. Now you're playing everybody. So the New York Yankees are playing the Los Angeles Dodgers every year, which I love this for baseball. But travel-wise, it does get trickier. You have a lot more West Coast trips. You have a lot more travel to do, a lot more wear and tear on your body. And I do think both of those reasons are big reasons that we're not seeing 100-win teams. And we're not going to see one this year. So for the first time since, I think, 2004, when the Angels led the league at 98. So it's been almost 2 decades since we've seen that. So thank you, Tyler, for that question. Last question today. If the Tigers clinch a playoff spot and have nothing to play for, should they pitch Tarik Skubal in game 162, which is his scheduled slot, if he only needs a few strikeouts to clinch the pitching triple crown? Or is the pitching triple crown not as significant as the batting triple crown is? Absolutely, you cannot pitch Tarik Skubal in 162. I could care less about the triple pitching crown. Is it cool? Absolutely. Do I hope he wins it? Absolutely. Would I rather have him in game 1 of the playoffs than him win the pitching triple crown? 100 times out of 100. This has been a huge year for the Tigers, a huge turnaround. I'm kind of going to combine 2 questions in one. This one comes from an account called Golfing Daily. Absolutely. Can't even fathom pitching Tarik Skubal in 162 if you already have the division wrapped up. Can't do it. Not a world. Do not do it. Another question, though, was what do you do with the Tigers in the offseason? Like, what should their offseason look like? Go in. This is the team. This team proved it. I've been saying for too long, the ownership and Chris Ilitch is doing it ass backwards of what Mike Ilitch would have done. Chris Ilitch is making the team prove it before doing anything different. The 2003 Tigers were one of the worst teams of all time. The 2006 Tigers were in the World Series because he went out and got names like a Pudge Rodriguez and a Maglio Ordonez, and they started to turn the culture around. Chris Ilitch, in my opinion, has done it backwards and has not done anything until the core proves itself. And even that's not a certainty. We'll see what he does in the offseason. But this team has finally proven that they are a playoff caliber team, and hopefully in the offseason they go out and add some real bats, some real promising middle-of-the-order bats to help them out. That's what I hope happens. Do not pitch Tarik Skubal in game 162 if you have the playoffs wrapped up. Thank you guys for the questions. That one comes from Golfing Daily, Tyler, and Eric as well. What a fun episode. What a fun show. Thank you all for listening and watching. You can watch every single episode on our YouTube, Flippin' Bats Pod there. You can listen to everything on podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever. Please leave reviews, comments. It really does help. 5-star reviews. Leave a comment. Comment in the YouTube chat. I love hopping in the YouTube chat and seeing what people are saying and commenting back and having a discussion there. So if you watch or want to watch, go to Flippin' Bats Pod on YouTube, watch the episode, and leave a comment. I love commenting back. So and also follow on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at Flippin' Bats Pod everywhere. But Last week-ish of baseball is here. Then it is playoff time. You guys know me. I could not be more excited right now. I love this sport. I love talking about it with you all in this incredible Flippin' Bats community. Let's do it. Last week, we have Smoltz coming up on Saturday, and then the schedule's going to change a little bit for October. Hopefully, I have some more episodes coming out at different times, but I'll keep you posted there. Let's get there first. And remember, guys, until next time, find your bat and flip it. Peace.